She walked away, turned her back like she'd never look at you again. And now she's back acting like nothing ever happened. Most guys freeze in this moment, not knowing whether to open their arms or shut the door. But this is exactly where you need to play the game differently. Because behind her return, there's always a hidden reason. And if you don't handle it right, you'll fall into the same painful cycle all over again. Today, I'll show you exactly what to do when she comes back, and why the real power isn't in chasing, but in how you respond. Topic 1. Understand why she's back when a woman comes back after leaving. A lot of guys instantly think, finally she realized she can't live without me, but reality is way more complicated. Many times her return has nothing to do with true love, it's her ego looking for validation. She might just be testing if she still has power over you. If you fold too quickly, you're handing her all the cards without even noticing. There's also loneliness. Maybe things didn't work out with another guy. Maybe that Saturday night silence hit her harder than expected. And guess whose number she remembers? Yours. But don't confuse this with genuine regret. Most of the time, it's a temporary reaction, not a mature decision. Seeing it for what it is keeps you from becoming her plan B. And don't ignore the psychological test. Some women come back just to see if you're still right there waiting in the palm of her hand. If you let her walk right back in like nothing changed, you're telling her your value hasn't grown. You're still sitting on the shelf waiting to be picked up. That's why her return isn't a win, it's an alert. The next move is what really matters. Topic 2. Don't look desperate. Emotional control. If she comes back and finds you desperate, begging for her attention, the balance of power is already broken. The mistake most men make is acting like her return is some kind of trophy. But the real sign of value is staying calm, showing that your life kept moving forward, that you weren't sitting around waiting. That's emotional control, and it's the one thing she's not expecting. A man who stays centered radiates silent strength. Think of the guy who walks into a room and doesn't need to raise his voice to be noticed. People just respect him. Practice. This means replying without rushing, not canceling your plans for her, and refusing to let her dictate the pace. When you show you're not chasing, she instantly realizes she doesn't control you anymore. This self-control isn't just posture, it's strategy. Think about how many guys she's dealt with who collapsed the second she showed interest. Now imagine her surprise when you don't act like them, when you carry yourself like you've got options, like your life is bigger than one woman. That shock plants the seed of respect. Respect is what makes any real second chance possible. Which brings us to the next point. Setting clear boundaries. Topic 3. Set clear boundaries. Don't play the same game. When a woman comes back, often she is checking to see if you're still the same guy who put up with everything. That's why boundaries are non-negotiable. Respect starts with clarity. And clarity means making it obvious what you won't tolerate anymore. It's not about yelling or drama it. It's about calmly showing her that the old cycle is over. Setting boundaries is having the guts to say no. If she used to disappear and reappear whenever she wanted, this is where you draw the line. Same thing with small stuff. If she flakes on plans last minute, don't chase. If she plays games with indirect comments, don't bite. It's these little actions that prove you've learned to value yourself. Once she sees you're no longer the guy who takes whatever scraps she gives, the dynamic changes. Either she steps up and respects the new standard, or she loses her place in your life. And this shift creates something powerful. She now has to choose if she is serious or not. But to keep that new balance steady, there's another key: living a life with real purpose. Topic 4. Show purpose. Your life is still full of value. One of the worst mistakes guys make when she comes back is dropping everything to revolve around her again. That screams dependency. The real power is in showing her your life already has meaning, and she is just a potential addition, not the foundation. When she sees that you're still growing without her, admiration starts creeping back in. Purpose isn't just talking about your goals, it's actually living them. It means investing in projects, building your health, or pushing yourself into something new. It could be starting a course, training for a sport, or launching a small side hustle. The point is, she needs to see you have direction. She can be part of your journey, but she isn't the journey itself. And that realization hits her harder than any words. Sparks respect, and yes, even a little fear of losing you again. Because you're no longer standing still, you're moving. And that's when we get to the final, most decisive step. showing her that your happiness doesn't depend on her at all. Topic 5. Show you don't need her true freedom. This is the step that flips the script completely. When she realizes you don't need her, but you choose her, the power dynamic changes. There is a huge difference between being with someone out of fear of being alone and being with them out of genuine choice. The second you show your happiness isn't tied to her, you step into real strength. Now don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean acting cold or heartless. It means your life is already whole, with or without her. Think of it like a business that doesn't rely on a single client. If they stay, great. If they leave, the company still grows. That's the energy you need. You're not trying to fill a void, you already feel complete. Anyone who comes into your life is there to add, not to rescue. And ironically, that's what makes her want you more. Because you're no longer begging for love, you're offering a life full of purpose, strength, and choice. That kind of independence is magnetic. And it's here where you lock in the lesson. Freedom is more attractive than need. Conclusion: if she came back, it's not because you lost your value. It's because, deep down, she knows there's still something about you she can't ignore. But here's the real question. Are you going to repeat the same mistakes? Or step up as the man who learned from the pain? The power is in your hands. So tell me, would you let someone back into your life without proving they've truly changed? Or would you have the guts to shut the door and keep leveling up? If this video hit home, subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notifications and keep learning how to flip the script in relationships, because from now on, you're not anyone's backup plan.